You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $10 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Story Splinters, who says, please rant about rating sexual content on Mal. When I try to score shows within that category, including hentai, but mostly shows with mild nudity that depict a lot of sexual situations, e.g. within the yaoi genre, I feel like I can't score these fairly. When it comes to arousal, I focus way more on the situations that appeal to my fantasies rather than on other factors I would consider important for other anime, like character development, relatability, art and animation, etc. It just does not feel right to use the same sort of scale because the works fulfill different purposes. I feel that way about all anime. It all fulfills different purposes. They're all good for different reasons. You can have a show with no character development. That's great. You can have a show with tons of character development that sucks, just as easily. So I would say that each anime should always be judged on its own merits. And to me, scoring a show is not about making a judgment of the quality of any particular element of it. It's all comparative. To me, scores are just a way of saying this show is better than this show on the whole. And it really comes down a lot to emotional reasons. It's like these shows can have totally different appeals, but how much appeal was there? So, for instance, when I rate hentai, sometimes I will initially rate it, somewhat highly because I think, oh, well, as a hentai, this was really good. This had really well-animated sex scenes, or it was really hot, great character designs. I'm giving it an 8, And then I look at my Mal, and I look at the show next to another show I gave an 8, and I think, well, while I do appreciate this, there's no way that I got as much out of this as I did out of that other show. So let me rank it down. And so, most good hentai is a 6 out of 10 because it's not that good. Yeah, you can get a nut to it, but it's not memorable. The characters aren't interesting. That's not, again, it's not that they have to be. It's that they aren't, and there's nothing else. There's decent sex, but how much is that really worth? But meanwhile, Urotsuki Doji, I gave a 10 out of 10, and that is essentially pornography. There's tons of sex scenes. The plot is just a bunch of crazy demon shit, but the movie is aesthetically astounding. It just looks so incredible, and it's so much fun to watch, and the concepts resonate with me so hard that I give it a 10, because I got as much enjoyment out of watching it as I do out of watching a 10 out of 10 show, regardless of what is the source of that enjoyment, It has absolutely no interesting characters. It has absolutely no interesting storyline. It is just so enjoyable to consume. That I would put it on the same level. But, that's pretty much the only basis for my scores. They are all a ranking. They are not, there's no rubric being applied. I used to do that. I used to almost every 6 months come up with a new scoring system to try to better explain, justify why shows are where they are on the list. But ultimately, it just comes down to which one do I like more, And, if you put all the shows you have ever seen in that order, and then you just start drawing numbers next to them, eventually you have your scoring system. And you can just think about okay, well, how much did I enjoy this show? I'd say I enjoyed it about as much as this show, or maybe a little bit more than this one, but not as much as that one. Okay, so what's the number between those two? That's what this gets the score of.